Hey everyone, welcome back to the Suburban Homesteader. Today we're going to be planting out potatoes. Now is the right time to, well, between now and say June is the right time to plant them in my area. So I'm going to be planting them out today in pots. So I've only ever grown potatoes in pots. Super easy to do. You can, I don't like putting in the garden beds because I've only got a limited amount of beds available. So I don't want them taking up the bed, so I can't put anything else in. A lot of the homesteads that have a bigger space, they have like what's called a crop bed, so they have really long, really long beds up to sometimes 100 meters or 50 to 80 meters. So they can have them in rows, but I like to do them in pots. Super easy to do, and then when it's harvest time, I'll chuck down a bit of tarp. It's a great family fun activity to dump the pot on the tarp and go digging for gold. And then I reuse that soil and I reuse the soil again, add some amendments to it. I'll chuck it in the compost bin and reuse it that way. So I always do it in pots. I use the largest or biggest pots I can find. These ones I just picked up from Bunnings a couple of years ago. And look, you don't get the same harvest as a big row or in bed, but it's still enough for our family as a bit of an experiment and a bit of fun. So biggest, largest pot. You buy seed potatoes. My seed potatoes literally arrived today, and I've got the Red Lady variety, so it's a red skin, white flesh, and it's a good all-rounder. And this one I should be able to harvest a little bit earlier. They say, I think it was like 80 to 100 days or something like that to maturity. And the next variety is the Kennebec. So I've grown the Red Lady before. The Kennebec is a white potato, and it's mainly good for like frying and things like that. It's a little bit later in regards to harvesting. They say 100 to 120 days, but we'll see. I normally just wait to see when the foliage gets to its peak, and then when it starts to die back is when I harvest. So with the way I'm using the pots, like garlic and things like that, you want to pick the biggest seed potatoes. Now I bought these from the seed collection. You can buy them from a lot of garden nurseries. You might be able to pick them up from your local community garden or even Bunnings. And I picked the biggest potatoes. Now this is how big the pot is inside. So I normally put maybe 4 or 5 potatoes, a bit of soil, 4 or 5 potatoes, and then I'll put a bit more soil on top. And the idea is, with the way we do it in the pots, once the foliage starts to get up to a certain height, you want to actually add straw or more compost in about 70% of the foliage, and that just encourages more growth and more potatoes to form, so you end up getting more. So eventually it ends up coming all the way to the top of the pot, and then it gets even taller, and then I just leave it from there and keep it watered, and eventually it will start to die off when it's around time for harvesting. So with the pots, it's really easy. I can put them in the most sunniest position in my yard. I can move them around if need be. I've just always done it in pots and I found it really well. So that's what works for us. So we're going to crack open the 2 pots. Alright, so I normally separate them. I've done a couple of different varieties in the past. Russet Bourbon, Desiree. I've done a couple of other ones as well. Like I said, I've done Red Lady before, but I haven't done the Kennebec before. I like to experiment and see which one our family likes best. Alright, so I'm going to add a bit of soil to the bottom. I'm just using a premium potting mix. I actually don't have any more compost available. I've used it in all the other beds that we've had. So this is what I'm going to use, and then I'll position it probably in the most sunniest spot in the yard. So I just put a bit of soil in the bottom. You know, I probably want to put maybe 10 centimeters of soil down the bottom. Up to you how much, but that's probably how much I'll end up putting in. And then you literally just sit the potatoes on top and then cover them up again. So sometimes I end up with a few leftover seed potatoes, so I just put them up in smaller pots or other bigger pots that I have. So I'll have to label the pots a bit later, but I'm going to put the Kennebec, sorry, the Red Lady in the old russet potatoes. And like I said, like garlic, you want to pick the biggest cloves or the biggest seed potatoes to put down the bottom. Sometimes you're tempted to put more. I'll show you what it looks like on the inside. So that's what I'm going to be doing in this pot. Sometimes you're tempted to put more. It's hard to not want to put more, but that's what I'm putting, and then I'm going to fill it up with another 10 centimeters. So I'm only going to be putting 4 in. It's very tempted not to put more, but I'll probably add another, say, 10 centimeters of soil on top, and then I'll put some straw or mulch on top. Alright. I'm going to use those ones in a smaller pot. To be honest, I just didn't know how much soil I had left, but I've got plenty. I might even put 5 in. The main thing is you don't want to put the whole packet into the one pot. This one I'll probably only put 3, and I might gift some of the other seed potatoes to someone else that might want them. I'll put it up on the local community page to see who might want them. That's the first 2 pots of the Red Lady, and then the Kennebec. So like garlic, you need to get big cloves and small cloves. Pretty much the exact same what I was doing before. 4 potatoes spaced out inside the bottom of the pot. Just put 3 in this one. now I'm going to add straw. So I'm just using sugarcane mulch to sprinkle over the top. Alright, so I'm just going to water it in now, and I'll put them in a different spot to soak up the most sun that we have. So like I said, potatoes are super easy to grow. If you haven't grown them before, I'd highly recommend giving it a go. Whether you've got a small space, you don't have a bed to give up for these potatoes for the whole period of while they grow until you harvest, or even if you're on a balcony, give the potato pots a go, and let me know how you go with your progress. I'll keep you up to date with how they go. Like I said, once they start the foliage starts to rise, you just start to keep adding more material on top until they get to the height of the pot, and then enjoy your harvest. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, please check out our channel, like and subscribe. We're also on Instagram, the Suburban Homesteader AUS. So please head over there as well and give our page a like and a follow. And if you've got any comments, if you grow them in a different way, if you grow them the same way, let us know, give us feedback. I'd love to know what you're growing and maybe even what variety you're growing. So thank you for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.